Hey guys, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Dan, and today we're going to look at the top Position 4 support picks in patch 7.27. This video will be a tier list for the Position 4 support role based on the current meta in both pubs as well as professional play. Even though there are many heroes listed, we will only be going into detail for the heroes we feel are top tier or are in need of a special mention. When picking a hero in Dota, it's important to understand the dynamics of a draft and what it means to pick early on rather than later in the draft, allowing for counter picks and better core matchups. Rather than go into too much detail about drafts, let's hop right into the tier list. But first, let's give you our question of the day. Which support do you think is a sleeper in this patch? The way we broke down the tier list is by how inclined one would feel to pick a hero and how early it would be picked into a draft without knowing any hero matchups. This tier list will be more suited towards high-level pubs than anything else. A quick note that since this tier list is written more from a perspective of high-level players, it will favor more active heroes who want to roam and make plays, regardless of how difficult a hero might be to play mechanically. With that in mind, we still want to make sure the tier list be represented with as little to no bias towards any particular skill level or playstyle, and just be what is the best for the 7.27 meta. Heroes are placed left to right respectively on how good they fare with the other heroes in their tier. First off, we have the S tier or God tier heroes. When thinking about what makes a hero good for any role, you want to consider what boxes it needs to check off. Does it stun? Is it good in lane? Can you pick it early? Does it group fight well? Does it have catch? Does it scale? Can you roam? Does it combo well with other heroes? Heroes in the S tier tend to check off most, if not all, of those boxes. The best hero at the moment for 4 role is definitely Earthshaker. He has good base movement speed, can manipulate creep waves with fissure, allowing for unique laning scenarios. His roaming potential is great, he does excellent damage for a support, and lastly has a plethora of stuns. Simply put, stuns make playing Dota easy. High rated, low rated, doesn't matter. If someone is stunned, they cannot outplay you. And just like roots, they interrupt TPs, so catching enemies who are out of position will always be of value. As a 4, more often than any other role, your job will be to initiate on opponents who are out of position and keep them locked down until your team can back you up. Before I go into detail about Rubik, I think it deserves a special mention that this hero can potentially be the best 4 role in the game by far. But with that said, it is very hero matchup dependent and can leave you being a liability if picked in the wrong game. Rubik is so strong that I think despite this crutch, he is still S tier. You can almost pick Rubik every game because of the heroes who are also favored in the meta. Even without seeing the enemy team, chances are you will have someone you can steal a good spell from, which is what makes Rubik so valuable. Any hero who can nuke out creep waves as well as have a reliable stun like Lift will be in contention for a good 4 role. But what makes Rubik special is a good game with Rubik is like having an extra set of spells on a team, almost like a 6th player. With patch 7.27, it's still iffy whether or not Rubik is in the same spotlight as he was before, but one thing is certain. With how popular heroes like Earthshaker, Queen of Pain, and Centaur are currently, I don't think we'll be seeing Rubik disappear anytime soon. Next is Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon has begun to rise in popularity as a position 4 for a while now, first coming into prominence as a 5. It doesn't really suit an aggressive playstyle as much as a hard roamer like Clockwork or Rubik, but nevertheless, very deserving of a spot in S tier. His laning capabilities with Shadow Poison spam makes your offlaner have the easiest game of his life. This isn't the only strong part of his kit either. You have a defensive save as well in the form of Disrupt, as well as a Purge, which is a very uncommon mechanic to have on your side these days, with most Purges being changed or reworked. Patch 7.27 has changed the meta into more of a slowed down stack farming meta. Shadow Demon is one of the best heroes in the game at making stacks, allowing for neat multi-stacking with Shadow Poison on top of his auto attack. We really think that if you take the time to learn this hero before it rises in popularity, you'll be ahead of the game. There are a lot of very mobile heroes in the meta right now that might make Clockwork feel like an uncomfortable pick. Despite this, all of the buffs he has received, especially Battery Assault being instant cast, has helped him tremendously. Just like Earthshaker, being able to create impassable terrain with power cogs is always going to be fantastic in breaking up group fights, isolating targets, or even creating unique laning situations. Clock's ability to find solo pickoffs as well as his damage output is one of the best, if not the best, for the role in the early to mid game. A support's job is mainly to get your team through the early to mid game, so he's perfect for the job. His scaling isn't quite as good, but a magic immunity piercing stun is always desirable. Something as simple as canceling a BKB TP can have incredible game impact. Clock is inarguably one of the best, if not the best, catch heroes in Dota 2. You have great gap close with your ultimate, but not only that, you can scout for your team with Rocket Flare, making your initiations even easier. Even using Rocket Flare to initiate on someone with a Blink Dagger, just to break the Blink Dagger before initiating, is something very unique not many heroes can do. The last hero in S tier is Mirana. There's a very specific reason Mirana is at the very end of the S tier heroes, and that is because this hero is the most inconsistent of the S tier heroes by far. In fact, she was very close to not making the cut and being placed in A tier, but because of her popularity, she found her way into S tier and our hearts. With that said, and it can't be stressed enough, you need to hit your arrow to make this hero work. If hitting skill shots isn't your thing, don't worry, there's plenty of other heroes in the pool to choose from, but stay away from Mirana, or at least make sure you have someone you can combo with in the game or laning stage. Sure, there are plenty of combos out there, ranging from pretty much anything with a stun, but just in case you were unsure of what to make your friends pick, here's a short list of some of our favorite arrow setups. Mars Spear, Kunkka X, Ember Spirit Chains, Shadow Demon Disrupt, Winter Wyvern Curse, and Naga Song. Arrow, of course, isn't the only thing that makes Mirana a good pickup. Starstorm is great for clearing out creep waves, and when paired up with Leap, you can be very hard to deal with. Mirana is a very scary hero to play against. This factor is only matched with Pudge, who sadly is in the dumpster at the moment. A good Mirana player can feel like they're everywhere on the map. Push out a creep wave quickly, safely, and then quickly roam through the jungle and arrow another lane. Nothing instills fear more into the enemy than the feeling that you can't stand still without eating a skill shot to the face. From here, we'll be moving on to the A tier heroes. Quick disclaimer, we will not be going into full detail of all of the A tier heroes, as some are better than others in the right game, and this is what separates them from the S tier. Not all heroes in A tier are worth going into detail about. In the right hands, as well as the right game, they have the potential to be better than the S tier heroes, but they won't bring as consistent of results as the S tier heroes. For example, Winter Wyvern is a massive counter to the Necrobook Zoo lineups with Beastmaster or Lycan, despite Necro seeing nerfs in 7.27. Without a counter, you could be seeing a quick loss. These A tier heroes could also be a burden to your team if you're lacking damage, disables, or something else like a stronger laning presence, where the S tier heroes tend to check more of these boxes off, as previously mentioned. The first hero in A tier I wanted to go over is Queen of Pain. She deserves a special mention because of her ridiculous rise in picks. She is so versatile and strong, she can actually be played in any role. There's nothing in particular that makes her a good 4 role that separates her from being played as, say, a mid or off laner. She's simply just a very strong hero right now. Really mobile, can nuke out waves, good group fight pure damage ultimate, and scales tremendously with her talents. Just a standard, well-rounded pick. One unique trait is that if you pick Queen of Pain with the intent to play it as a support, you could potentially bait out counter picks from the enemy team, scoring an easy lane matchup. The other heroes in this tier we wanted to touch on is Winter Wyvern and Earth Spirit. Both heroes are incredibly good at what they do, but they need to be in the right game to deserve the proper praise. With that said, Earth Spirit should mainly be picked for his amazing catch, as well as potential to disrupt backlines. He's great versus defensive support such as Winter Wyvern or Shadow Demon, and great to deal with elusive cores like Puck, QOP, or any of the spirits like Ember or Storm. Earth Spirit is a very mechanically demanding, high-tempo, and aggressive hero. This should be taken into account when picking him. There's a lot of responsibility in landing all of your skill shots, so be sure you have lots of practice and experience. On the other end of the support spectrum, we have Wyvern. Winter Wyvern is a much better laner than he is a fighter, like you would find in Clockwork, Tusk, Earthshaker, or Earth Spirit. But where he shines is being an incredibly good counter to physical damage cores. Heroes to look to counter as Winter Wyvern are Troll Warlord, Ursa, Lycan, or Faceless Void. Expect a bit of a slower game on Wyvern, but by no means is he not strong in the early game. At level 2, he's one of the strongest laners in the game and should be played appropriately. The rest of the A tier aren't too special, simply they are just good heroes. They provide good laning, they have good group fight capabilities, or just complement other popular hero picks right now. For example, Tusk is very potent with anyone who can auto-attack with Tag Team, which allows him to roam to multiple lanes for easy kills or quick Roshan kills. Then you have Rasta and Phoenix, who just make for a really easy laning stage. It's important when you're looking at what hero to pick to think about your lane and the dynamic of 2 ranged or 2 melee heroes will have. Make an effort to mix ranged and melee, shoot for 1 ranged and 1 melee. This should help you a lot with what hero to pick. The S tier heroes are okay being in double melee lane or double ranged, but for the A tier, you should try to make sure you have a melee offlaner. For example, if you want to pick a ranged support like Shadow, Shaman, or Phoenix. Moving on to the rest of the tier list, there isn't much to say without taking away from the S or A tier heroes. If you want a solid pick where you won't detriment your team, or if you're an expert at the 4 role and want to carry the game with a lot of early momentum, you can always pick from the S or A tier and you should find success. The S tier heroes are far easier to execute than the other tiers, whether it be the meta favoring what they have to offer more, or they're simply buffed at the moment. The heroes placed in B or C tier are definitely viable as position 4, but shouldn't ever be picked before looking towards the better heroes in A or S. A lot of the heroes placed in lower tiers are there because they require extra care, whether it is special combos with allies or specific enemy matchups that are less likely in this meta. An example of this extra care is something like Sniper or Enigma, who will require a lot of farm to be impactful. You might be too greedy and be a detriment to your allies. The more greedy heroes were moved into their own category, which is the YapzOr tier. If you don't know of YapzOr, he is the best greedy position 4 in the world who currently plays for Team Secret, who have recently had the best 100 game run in Dota 2, going 85-15. He is intentionally given a ton of space to farm from his team and is treated like a core. You will have a very high impact if well executed, but be very careful having a high risk, high reward mentality. There will be more responsibility and chances are your teammates are not Team Secret. With that said, YapzOr is a top leaderboard player for a reason. Even without his team, he's able to climb as a support playing the same style as he does in competitive, proving that his playstyle is viable even without the immense backing of the Team Secret roster. Be prepared to be flamed for picking off meta heroes. If you like to specialize in specific heroes like Clinks or Low, then included are these heroes, but by no means do we think they need to be gone into detail than besides this one sentence. Pick with caution. It's important to have a basic understanding of the support dynamic between the 4 and 5. The 4 is typically going to scale harder and require more farm or levels to have an impact. There is going to be more responsibility on you to do some heavy lifting as a 4. A lot of older heroes that used to be a good 4 have simply fallen off or are better suited elsewhere. In most cases, these older heroes have become much more favorable as a 5. These heroes have been placed into their own tier to avoid any confusion for lower rated or older players returning to Dota. Long gone are the days of 2 meat shields and warding bots, with the rise of players like YapzOr and GH showcasing what a powerful position 4 player can really bring to the table. This concludes the position 4 support tier list for patch 7.27. I hope it was helpful and hopefully will put a stop to losing your team 2 gold every second you're trying to decide whether you want to play Earthshaker or Rubik. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching the video, then please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button to be notified of our next one, and I will see you guys in the next video.